Tina is working on her master's thesis, and she called me up 2 weeks ago to ask if she could interview me. She wanted to know about the Great Depression. Not what you learn about in history books. I want to hear your stories. I didn't tell her then, but I felt old. Oh, we struggled during the Depression years. I suppose that's something of a cliche by now. Everyone struggled in some way or another. But Father was out of work for some time. Mother was lucky to find a job as a seamstress. But Tina, I don't think I thought too much of the struggle. In fact, on some level, I think I thought it was good for her. Mother, that is. She left the house just before breakfast and would come home as the sun was going down, and I remember thinking to myself, let's see, I must have been 7 at the time. I remember thinking to myself that she looked like some great queen, just come in from roaming among her people, that she looked finer than I had ever seen her before. Funny how we think about these things so late in life. When asked a question about our childhood, when singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch, when walking along the river, when a clock chimes the hour. Father was always bellowing, and Mother was always so... I never thought about that when I was young. I remember one afternoon, a Tuesday or a Wednesday, sometime in the middle of the week, Charlotte and I were walking home from school. I don't think Angela was even born yet. And there was this old-looking man walking in front of us. His pant legs were dirty near the cuffs and a little torn. The elbows of his jacket were faded, as if his bones would cut right through the tattered fabric. Perhaps it was that, more than anything, how close his bones seemed to be to revealing themselves that made him seem so small. He just shuffled along with no apparent direction, a cigarette dangling from his right hand. He didn't smoke it, mind you. The ash was nearly 2 inches long. It just dangled there, as he seemed to dangle the lure at the end of some fish line. Anyway, Charlotte started it. She let out a slight giggle, muffled, and began to walk in step behind the man, mocking his sorry posture and his awkward, wayward ambulation. Without even thinking what I was doing, I fell in line with Charlotte, also mocking this faceless man's efforts to push himself forward down some dusty, leaf-ridden street. Oh, we thought we were quite clever, Charlotte and I, until that faceless man stopped walking and turned around, as if he knew we were there. Charlotte didn't notice at first, because she was watching intently the angle of her own shoes. I, however, turned as pale as him. It was Father. Mother was working, you see, and he wasn't. I don't think I've mocked anyone since. Oh, but we never spoke of that moment. Instead, evenings at that time were perhaps finer than any evenings I had as a young girl. Mother, sitting in her wooden rocker, calmly, her knitting put away, the dishes done, her hands folded neatly and elegantly on her lap. Charlotte in that white dress with the blue flowers stitched into the collar to bring out the blue in her eyes, she said even then. Charlotte kneeling beside Mother, gazing steadily into the tiniest of fires, stirring the hot stone. Me, sitting on the floor in front of Father, my shirt-waist untucked, my feet stockinged but shoes off and on the floor under the bed that Charlotte and I shared. Me, tapping my stockinged feet in perfect time. 1 and 2 and 3. And Father, somewhere behind me, somewhere I could not see him but could hear his breathing. Father, playing his fiddle as if the very minutes and hours of his life could not eke themselves out otherwise. How many minutes and hours would I give to have those feet again? To be able, just one more time, to tap my feet to the rhythm of a fiddle. It's with him now, that fiddle, with Father's bones. God rest his soul.